Hello. Now, some of you may recall that every January I review different Batman material, be it like Batman comics or graphic novels or different Batman movies, and I've been doing this pretty much since 2013. Since 2013, January for me has kind of become Batman month, but this year I decided to do something a little different. I'm still going to be doing some Batman reviews this January, but I decided to, before I do the Batman reviews, I decided to also do some Superman reviews, and I might continue this on like every January as well. So January now, instead of being Batman month, might end up becoming Superman and Batman month. And I decided to start these Superman reviews with a review of what is technically the first Superman movie ever made, and that is the 1941 animated short film Superman, a.k.a. The Mad Scientist. Now, Superman, or the Mad Scientist, is the first of the Fleischer Superman cartoons. Now, the Fleischer Superman cartoons are a series of animated short films featuring the character of Superman, and these were all directed by Dave Fleischer and produced by Max Fleischer. And these cartoons were the first adaptations of the Superman comic books. Now, the character of Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, and the character first appeared in Action Comics in 1938. Now, since Superman's first comic book appearance, this character has gone on to become one of the most iconic and endearing characters of the 20th century, and even into the 21st century, he's still such an iconic character. Like, this character, he's not even just one of the most famous comic book characters of all time, but he's become like an American icon. Like, everybody knows Superman. Like, I would argue that Superman, even though I do personally like Batman better than Superman, I would argue that Superman is really more famous than Batman. Like, everybody, you just mention Superman to anybody in the world, and they'll immediately know who you're talking about. And I definitely think the Fleischer Superman cartoons, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Fletcher or Fleischer, but I definitely think these cartoons really helped boost Superman's popularity and are kind of responsible for Superman becoming such an iconic character. Now, I have a few of the Fleischer Superman cartoons, including this one on this DVD here called Classic Cartoons, and I also have a few of the other Fleischer Superman shorts on this DVD set here. Now, the Fleischer Superman cartoons are actually in the public domain, so if you wanted to, you could just watch them on YouTube, or if you have them, you could just upload them to YouTube, and you shouldn't have too many problems because these short films are in the public domain. And I actually find that to be pretty interesting, that these short films are in the public domain, yet the character of Superman is not. Like, the character of Superman is obviously owned by DC Comics, but even though the character himself is not public domain, these old short films are public domain. Now, as I said before, this review is on the first of the Fleischer Superman cartoons, The Mad Scientist. Now, the plot of this short film is it begins with a little prologue explaining Superman's origin, but then it jumps into the main plot of the story, and basically in the story it follows this mad scientist who has this machine that can shoot out a ray that can pretty much dissolve buildings and bridges. and this mad scientist is now threatening to destroy the city. Now, in the movie, Perry White tries to get Clark Kent and Lois Lane to cover this story, but Lois manages to convince Perry to let her go off and cover this story by herself, and long story short, she ends up getting kidnapped by the mad scientist, and the mad scientist starts using his machine to destroy buildings in the city, so Clark Kent becomes Superman and now has to stop this mad scientist. That's the basic plotline of this short film. Now, I found this to be a really fun cartoon. I mean, it's kiddie, it's cheesy, but it's still a fun cartoon, and I would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen this. I would recommend a lot of the Fleischer Superman cartoons. They're honestly really fun, and it's really cool seeing, like, the roots of a character. Like, even though these cartoons aren't the first things to feature the character of Superman, obviously, Superman was a comic book character before these cartoons. Once again, these cartoons were the first adaptations of the comics, so it's really cool seeing this early version of the character. And once again, this short film is really enjoyable, and the animation, I can understand why somebody might say that by today's standards, the animation might look a little dated, but for its time, I actually think the animation was quite beautiful, and you could definitely see where, like, I think it was Bruce Timm who said that a lot of the animation style for Batman the Animated Series was actually greatly inspired by the animation from these cartoons. Now, I do want to point out, probably my favorite character in this short film was the mad scientist Bird. In the movie, the mad scientist has this, like, pet bird, and since this cartoon was meant for kids, the bird has, like, human qualities, and this bird was freaking adorable. I loved this bird, and he was probably my favorite character in the movie. There's also a really funny scene where, like, Superman, he's punching at the mad scientist's, like, heat ray, and the mad scientist is like, "He isn't human!" And I'm sitting there like, no shit. This guy can fly, he can punch this heat ray with his bare hands, and he has, like, heat vision, and you're saying he isn't human? It's like, no fucking shit. But once again, this is an enjoyable short film, and I definitely recommend it. So yeah, that was my review on the first of the Fleischer Superman cartoons. Now, if I do continue these Superman reviews, like, next year, I would probably review more of the Fleischer Superman cartoons next year, but for now, I'm only reviewing the first one. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review, and bye.